Hey everyone, welcome back to the latest update on Sean Diddy Combs' trial. Week 2 has been nothing short of jaw dropping, with witness testimonies painting a disturbing picture of power, control, and alleged violence. Let's break the key moments down. But first, go ahead and subscribe to hear more brief updates of each week of the trial. Well, let's start with Don Richards, who is continuing her testimony from last week. And this week it kicked off with her former member Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money taking the stand. She testified that she witnessed Combs physically attack Cassie Ventura in Los Angeles hotel back in 2009. According to Richards, Combs was screaming, belligerent, and struck Cassie in the head before beating her on the ground. She also described an incident where Combs allegedly swung a skillet full of eggs at Cassie in a fit of rage. The defense objected to several questions, leading to the court adjournment. And then we had Kid Cudi, explosive testimony. Perhaps the most shocking moment of the week came when Kid Cudi took the stand. He testified that after briefly dating Cassie Ventura in 2011, Combs allegedly broke into his home in a jealous rage. But the most chilling revelation, Cudi claimed that in 2012, his Porsche was firebombed with a Molotov cocktail, and he believes Combs orchestrated the attack. As a warning, prosecutors are using this testimony to argue that Combs used violence and intimidation to control those around him. And then next we have his former assistant, George Kaplan, his testimony. Combs' former assistant, George Kaplan, also testifying, offering an insider's view of Combs' lifestyle. Kaplan described working 80 to 100 hours a week, cleaning up after Combs' infamous parties, and even handling baby oil and liquor bottles to maintain his boss's public image. He also detailed how Combs allegedly used his employees to facilitate his so-called freak-offs, which prosecutors argued were part of a larger criminal enterprise. Now, the defense had a few moments where they pushed back against the prosecution's narrative. One of their biggest wins came during Cassie Ventura's cross-examination, where they challenged inconsistencies in her testimony. They argued that while Combs had been violent, his actions did not constitute sex trafficking or racketeering, as the prosecution alleged. Another key moment was when George Kaplan, Combs' former assistant, was granted immunity before testifying. This allowed Kaplan to speak freely without fear of self-incrimination, but it also meant that the defense could frame his testimony as reliable or coerced. Additionally, the defense denied Combs' involvement in the alleged firebombing of Kid Cudi's Porsche, arguing that there was no direct evidence linking him to the attack. Well, the defense has been strategic in countering the prosecution narrative, exploring several key tactics to strengthen their case. Number one, reframing the charges. The defense has acknowledged Combs' history of domestic violence, but argued that his actions do not meet the legal definition of sex trafficking or racketeering. They positioned the case as one of the personal misconduct rather than organized criminal activity. And two, discrediting the witness. The defense attorney have challenged inconsistencies in Cassie's Ventura testimony, highlighting moments where her statements conflicted with the past interviews or legal filings. There are also suggestions that some witnesses may have financial motive for testifying against Combs. And three, they're trying to humanize Combs. Combs has altered his public image, appearing in court with graying hair and a subdued demeanor. His legal team has brought in jury consultants to help shape perception, aiming to soften his image and make him appear more sympathetic. And then we have the questioning the firebombing allegation. The defense has denied Combs' involvement in an alleged firebombing of Kid Cudi's Porsche, arguing that there's no direct evidence linking him to the attack. They framed this accusation as speculative rather than factual. And last but not least, highlighting Ventura's role in the relationship. During the cross-examination, the defense portrayed Ventura as an active participant in Combs' lifestyle, arguing that she willingly engaged in certain behaviors. They suggest that their relationships were toxic on both sides rather than one of coercion. Now, these tactics should show the defense focus on shaping the jury's perception and casting doubt on the prosecution claim. Now, it's a battle of narratives that's been thrown around in that courtroom.
Have not been participating in the Diddy commentary because I do prefer to leave it to the professionals, aka Mona. However, it has become painfully obvious to me that a number of you girls do not know what racketeering means, and I am here to clear that up, okay? Now, let's say that I have a business, okay? And let's say that that business sells pajamas, okay? Because as we all know, I love pajamas. And let's say that this is a legitimate business, okay? Hire people, okay? These are my employees, and those employees are making the pajamas, marketing the pajamas, selling the pajamas, and we are making legitimate business money, okay? Legitimate business money, all right? Pajama business is booming, okay? And all of that is legitimate. That's what we're doing by day, but by night, we're doing crime. Okay, we're doing crime. What kind of crime? Any kind of crime. Okay, that's obviously a pitchfork, which stands for the devil, which stands for crime. Maybe we're doing arson. Maybe we're doing drug trafficking. Maybe we're doing kidnapping. Whatever the crime is, the important thing here is I am using my employees here, okay, to carry out my crimes. I'm also using money from the business here to carry out my crimes. So these two things are intertwined. This is racketeering. Yes, my business over here might be legitimate, but if it's intertwined with the crime I'm doing over here, whether because my employees are doing the crimes, I'm using the money from the crimes, this is racketeering. So what is the RICO Act? Well, the RICO Act is when the feds come and do a little looky-loo around your little crime-riddled business, okay? They do a looky-loo and they say, that's racketeering, so we're gonna come scoop up everybody. Okay, what the RICO Act does, and by the way, RICO stands for Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act. Basically, what it allows the feds to do to come up and say, everybody involved, you can get got too, okay? It allows anybody to get got in the organization. It could be the kingpin, the person giving out the orders. It could be the secretary. Now, the other thing that seems to have people confused is what are these so-called crimes that Diddy has been committing? And I'm not a journalist and I'm certainly not a lawyer, but I will just offer up. If you are blowing up people's belongings and vehicles, that's arson and that's a crime. If you are preventing people from leaving you, physically, violently preventing someone from leaving your residence or your, say, hotel room, that's kidnapping, which is a crime. If you are forcing somebody to travel all over the country, nay, all over the globe in order to act out your schmexual fantasies, and they don't want to be there, they are being forced to be there, that is schmex trafficking, which is a crime. Okay. So, like I said, I'm not a professional. There are people covering this case far better than I could, but I did want to clear up some of these things so we could just all be on the same page. Okay. Tell a friend.
Well, week 2 of the trial has been intense, with witnesses providing damning accounts of Combs' alleged behavior. The prosecution is building a case that portrays him as a violent and controlling figure, while the defense continues to push back, arguing that these incidents are being exaggerated or misrepresented. Well, there are facts where these incidents have happened. And of course, we cannot forget the infamous video of Cassie trying to leave the hotel, thus having a settlement with them for 10 million. She was trying to leave, and like I always said in other videos, that you have the rights to say that you do not want to live that lifestyle anymore. So, do you think the defense strategy is working? What do you think about these latest revelations? And drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this trial while it unfolds. Well, that's it for today's breakdown. And stay tuned for more updates as we head into week 3 on Tuesday, May 27, I believe, of 2025. And until next time, stay safe and stay delightful. Bye for now.